This beautiful girl is Ruby, a 2-year-old Dachshund mix who is sound sensitive. In this video, we're going to show you how you can go over a little desensitization and counter conditioning. There's a video that I've shared with her guardian that's on her phone. She's going to go and play it right now. And the sound of this usually causes Ruby to bark. Let's see.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just go ahead and give her a treat. And go ahead and let's pause the video. What we're going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through it. Ruby, they say in the entertainment field, you don't want to work with children or dogs. And Ruby is giving a classic example of that. She was barking and protesting like crazy all session, but now she's being nice and quiet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use this as if we were knocking, and we're going to go through it even though Ruby is not barking. Yeah. So I'm going to have you go ahead and knock on the wall very lightly with a single knock, just light, and then give her a treat. And that was harder than normal. So if you were doing that and she barked or grumbled, then we would knock again the next time lighter. We want to find the highest level we can go without her responding. So it's not high. And so now go ahead and knock a little bit louder and then give her a treat. So the idea for this is we want to create a positive association. So the dog hears the sound, the stimulus, and then it is followed by a treat. But if Ruby gets spooked and barks, it's not that she did anything wrong. We did something wrong. We were too loud and too prominent. So the idea I'd like you to do is, since there's a number of sounds that Ruby is reactive to, there could be somebody walking outside in the hallway. You might ask a friend to come over or a neighbor to go stomp outside your hallway. So what you would do is have them, and I would like to talk to people through the earbud, so you can be hands-free. Okay, can you give me one stop? And they go one stop, and Ruby like freezes and lifts her head up. You know she heard it, but she didn't bark. Go ahead and give her a treat. And then stop again, and then give her a treat. And then and after one or two of that level, then we raise maybe stomp a little bit harder. Okay. And then we get to the point where that single stomp is as loud as we possibly can go. And once that's the case, then we stomp lightly with 2 stomps. Okay. So we go back, now we're adding more criteria, so we make it a little bit easier in terms of the intensity level because the quantity is going up. And the idea is to keep on doing this until eventually it sounds like you have a marching band right outside your door, and Ruby's looking around like, who is giving me a treat for this? Okay. We call that a precedent. The sound is an indicator that I'm about to get a treat. This is the same thing that a dog learns. Sit means if I put my butt on the ground, I'm going to get a treat. Okay. Now the problem with the difference is we're dealing with an emotion, and now a dog doesn't like the thing, and they're not controlling it. So if it's like people stomping outside, the jingle of a certain dog, if there's one of your neighbors and the dog's collar, Ruby probably can hear that collar. Oh, yeah. If that's the case, then ask them if they'll record a video jingling the collar. So at first, like just a little jingle and then a little bit, but about 20, 30 seconds of it, so you can kind of play it and keep on raising the volume. If you have a stereo, eventually playing it louder than it would actually in real fidelity. And then eventually, when you're out walking and you hear that dog, give her a treat. And now the other thing about this is that's the counter conditioning part. So counter conditioning means I'm going to provide the stimulus at a low level of intensity. When you hear it and don't react, or react but not strongly, I'm going to provide a positive reinforcement after that and gradually raise that up. This might take 3 practice sessions, it might take 1, it might take 20. And keep the practice session short, like less than 60 seconds each time. Oh, okay. So don't go too long. I see, okay. And you can set her up for success by getting a little exercise first, but not too much. This is a good energy for her to be in. Yeah. She's probably actually too tired right now. We've been at this for almost 3 hours. Yeah. This is a lot for her to deal with.
Doesn't usually have this much stimulus.
Well, and all that barking that she did the first hour and a half that we were here also took a lot of energy out of her. So if you got her full of energy and try to do this, you're working against yourself. Yeah. Now, also be careful that you might have multiple elements. It might be like the sound outside plus the garbage truck and the sound and the smell, and I'm outside. So you might just record the audio of the garbage truck and play that inside where she's relaxed, and then go outside. And what I do is I increase the distance or decrease the distance, or increase the distance, turn down the volume, or decrease the quantity. So I want to make it small enough for Ruby to be able to do this on her own without reacting. And if she reacts, it's not that she did anything wrong, it's we got a little greedy and added too much stimulus. So if we do this right, little by little, we get her desensitized, just like if you live next to an airport. After a while, you don't care that the planes come by. But for her, we're also giving her a treat essentially we're saying we're rewarding you for not barking. It's not so much rewarding you for not barking, but we're just creating a positive association that follows whatever that stimulus is.
Yeah.
Don't work on a whole bunch of them at once. Work at just a knock at the door after a while, and then after work that one, then work on the stomping out the door,
Okay.
or the jingle of the collars, or the trash truck, or whatever the things are. And eventually, you get to the point where systematically you're decreasing these things. Ruby is an anxious dog. Well, if you think about it, let's say there's 15 of these sounds that trigger her throughout the day. Well, if we can systematically remove all those sounds, now the 15 things that used to happen multiple times a day are no longer there. I'm more relaxed, and you get a dog that's chilling out on the couch, just like Ruby is. So these are some tips and tricks on how you can do a little desensitization and counter conditioning, even though Ruby didn't cooperate very much. But I think you understand the
I
concept.
do, yeah.